Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy! Today we have a piece of black acacia. This comes to us from viewer Rod May in California. How am I going to turn this piece? Pieces like this that are squarish, rectangularish, that don't have bark inclusions and cracks, crevices and whatnot. I don't know how to turn them. I don't know what to do with it. I could turn it, I guess. I would end up with a round bowl or something. That's just not challenging to me. It just isn't that much fun. So I was trying to figure out, well, what can I make out of this that it would be a challenge, that would be fun, that you might enjoy watching. Let me get you over here to the lathe and we'll work it out. Probably about a year ago, I don't remember exactly, I did a 3-corner bowl or a tri-corner bowl. I really liked that piece. I made it out of oak. It was a challenging piece and it was a lot of fun to make, and a lot of folks liked it. So that's what I thought I might try and do with this. With that piece, I was very particular. It was, I don't remember the exact dimensions, but I think it was exactly 6 inches on each side. This one is not. This one is 4.5 by 5 by 6. Now I could square this up. If I did that, it would end up being a 4.5 inch cube, which I thought might be a little small. So I'm just going to turn it just the way it is. And I don't know what's going to happen, and that's what I like. I like to not know. I like to be surprised right along with you. I don't know if we're going to end up with a high corner and a low corner, or a chipped corner, or I don't know what we're going to end up with. I just do not know. But what I'm going to do, you can see I've taken my chuck off. I don't have a center in here. Over here you can see I removed the little center out of my live center. So this is a small cup in here, just like this is a large cup. There's only 2 corners on here that I can use. So I've got this corner and this corner. Let's see, I don't know if I can get all that in there. This high corner up here, and then this low corner diagonally from it. Those are the only 2 square corners that have an opposing square corner. Right there. And I'm going to bring this up here. I'm just going to apply a little light pressure, and I'm going to jiggle around both corners until they feel like they're centered in the middle of the hole. And I'm going to apply a lot of pressure because the only thing driving this is the friction up here at this spindle. Okay, I think we're there. I'm gonna lock that down, and I'm gonna bring my tool rest up here. Now I probably should have watched that previous video, and I'll put a link to it. I'll put it right up here in your right hand corner, and you can click that link and you can watch it when you're done watching this video if you want to. Or you can stop this video and go watch that one. Anyway, I should have watched it to see what I did, because I really don't quite remember. I just remember that I was super picky about how it got set up, and I'm not being picky this time at all. You know, I guess I can't really explain it. I guess I'm going to ask you just to sit there with your coffee or your Coke or your wine or whatever you're having, your breakfast, and watch along with me, and we'll just kind of figure it out. So I'm going to start turning here. Let's see what this looks like when it's spinning. Is that interesting? Let's see. What I need to do is turn in this area, turn this end away until I have a place for a tenon. This is going to be fun. This is a puzzle. I'm going to use a 5/8 inch bowl gouge. Let's see how fast we can get it going. I'm going to stand over here out of the line of fire. I know you want a nice high speed. Well, okay, I can get 700 out of it, just above that, and it vibrates pretty bad. So we'll start with 700. This will be the bottom of the piece. This will be the top of the piece. And we'll just see what happens. Let me get my mask and face shield on. 5/8 inch bowl gouge, 700 RPM. Starting to slip a little bit, so I'm going to apply some more pressure. I hope I don't ruin this. I hope I can make something out of it. With that other piece, I had points to aim for. This one, of course, being an odd shape, not a perfect cube. I don't have those points to aim for, so I'm going to have to create my own. Okay, we've reached a good spot on the tenon. Of course, it's way too long, but we can take care of that. I'm just winging it here. I'm just winging it. Well, this little flat is about gone, and that looks good. So now it's this. I'm going to go sharpen up again, just about there. Okay, the flats are all gone. The corners, I guess you can't quite see them, but two of them line up and one of them is about a 1/4 inch low. And I'm good with that. That's okay. It's a little bit different. And I've got a pretty, maybe I can do a little bit of shear scraping. I've got a pretty decent finish. Guess I have to do it left-handed. Yeah, okay. Well, we need to do a little bit of work on our base here and cut this tenon off. It's way too long. I think I'll switch to a 3/8 inch standard grind to work on this a little bit. And that's good. So now we'll work on cutting this tenon down to size. And for that, I need a shorter tool rest. I'm going to use this thin bladed parting tool. Cut this down a little bit. Okay, that gives us a place to start after it's sanded. And speaking of sanding, time for sanding. As I was cleaning up, I decided to reduce the size of the tenon out here. I mean, this is all we need, and I need to cut this off right here before we can flip it around. So I went ahead and reduced this just to get it out of the way. I also recessed around the tenon a little bit more than I had. And what that'll do is make removing that tenon later a little bit easier. Okay, so time for sanding. I'm going to start with an 80 grit disc on my sander. I'm going to be sanding in reverse at about 400 RPM. That's a little faster than normal, but that's because I'm sanding a lot of air out here. And I want it to come around a little sooner so that I don't fall into that gap. So 400 RPM, 80 grit disc. I will work up through 400. Show you that as soon as I get my mask on. Well, that's going to be easy peasy. So I'll bring you back here in not very long of a time, and we'll put some finish on there. I don't know what we're going to go with yet. See you in a bit. The sanding went really well and really quickly, and I'm going to apply Howard Feed and Wax, and I think it's going to make this piece just pop. So let's see if it does. Yes, yes it does. This is a beautiful piece of wood. So this is going to set up in about 20 minutes. I will buff it up and I'll bring you back when it's time to start working on the inside. That's probably going to be a little more challenging. That is so pretty. Isn't that beautiful? Wow. See you in a bit. Well, I forgot that I still need to separate this. So I've got my thin parting tool. Got the lathe spinning at about 750 RPM. Okay. That's small enough. Now I'll take that over here to the workbench and chisel it off. Well, I'm glad I quit when I did because that piece just twisted right off of there. I didn't think it was quite that thin. Now I got on the last piece I did like this, I got a tip from a viewer. I had a hard time finding the center again, which I need to be able to do when I remove the tenon. And that viewer suggested just using a center finder like I have here to mark the center. So I'm just going to use my chisel to get a nice tight line there. Kind of awkward, probably should have used a knife. Yeah, I have a good mark, and I can center punch that, and I'll know where my center is when I need to remount this. So we'll get this back over here to the lathe and mount it up on the tenon. I've mounted the piece up in my chuck. The tailstock is still in cup form, and it's going right in the same place as the larger cup from the headstock end. I'm going to be spinning at 1200 RPM with a 1/2 inch standard grind bowl gouge, mask and face shield on. Well, now I have a problem with clearance. My gouge handle wants to hit the tailstock before I can get a good angle out here. so I might have to get rid of the tailstock soon. I do remember this issue from before. Maybe I'll try a swept back bowl gouge. Let's see if that gets me a better angle. Yeah, it kind of does. We'll try that. Whoa. Well, no damage done, but it didn't feel good. I'm going to have to get rid of the tailstock. I just cannot get a good angle in there. And I think I'll do what I did that last time as well. I think I'm going to drill this center part out because it's a long ways out from the chuck and there's going to be quite a bit of vibration. Yeah, let me change my setup here a little bit. I've mounted a chuck up in the tailstock and I've got a 2 1/8 inch Forstner bit. And the lathe is going to be spinning at 250 RPM. I'm just going to drill out a portion of the center there. Guess I could keep going, but I won't. We want to see some turning. We don't want to see some hole drilling. Okay, we're all set to start turning again. I'm going to switch to my 5/8 inch bowl gouge. And we're going to be turning at 1300 RPM. Mask and face shield on. I feel like I'm getting pretty close here. Well, we're about 3/8 on the bottom, 1/4 inch over here. Ooh, 3/16 over here. Yeah, got a nice even thickness over here at 3/16, but we're 3/8 on the bottom, so a little bit more. Okay, we'll try a scraper. Let me sharpen one up. Cool. We're done. Time for sanding. Now if you're thinking you might want me to sand these edges here, you better yell really loud, because I'm about to start sanding and I'm not going to sand, well, I am going to sand them. I am going to. But I'm just going to lightly smooth them. If you want me to remove all those ridges, then you're going to have to yell right now. I'm listening. I don't hear anybody. What? No, no, I can't hear a thing. I'll sand them lightly, probably like this. And I'll remove some of the ridges. Well, I will lessen the ridges. I'm not going to remove any. At least I'm going to try not to. But what I am going to do is sand the inside of this bowl. What? I thought I heard someone. Frank, is that you? No, no, not Frank. I'll be starting with 80 grit and working up through 400 just as I did on the outside. And I'll show you how that's going to work. We'll see if that's going to work. On the lathe, we'll be spinning forward at 340 RPM. Well, what do you know? That's just way easier than I thought it was going to be. Cool. So this shouldn't take too long. Of course, I do have to sand these. See you in a little bit. Well, I didn't really hear anybody yelling out to remove those marks on the edges. I kind of thought I heard Frank, but it wasn't Frank. Might have been Rod himself. I don't know. Or not. I can't really pinpoint it. Anyway, I actually removed more than I wanted to. I sanded a little bit too long. I don't know if you can see it, but right here there's a couple of little marks there. But mostly they're gone. Oh, there's one. If there was anyone that wanted them gone, they're pretty much gone. Anybody that wanted them to stay, there's a few left. Boy, isn't that pretty? You know, I like turning these things. This is only my second one, but I think there'll probably be more. So I will let that set up for a half hour or so. I'll buff it up and then it'll be time to take off that tenon, and that's when I'll bring you back. See you in a bit. I've mounted a block of wood up in my chuck. I'm going to slip the bowl over that and bring up my tailstock. I have my little hole there that I made using my center finder. We'll just apply a little pressure. Bring up the tool rest. Spin the piece up and see if it seems like it's centered. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. A little more pressure. I'm going to take a 3/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge and begin removing that tenon. Okay, we have clearance. I'm going to switch to a 3/8 inch swept back bowl gouge. And I'm going to adjust my tool rest a little closer, a little bit higher. You don't want to get under that nub or it'll pop right out of there. I'm going to slow the speed down to about 400. That was 500. Now we're at 400. I'm still working it away. Now we're quite small, so I'm going to slow it down to about 200 RPM. And I'm going to place the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl. Right hand on the gouge, left hand on the switch. Pressure towards the headstock. And when the little nub stops turning, we'll know we're through. Something like that. Now I'll just take this over here to the workbench, sand it up, sign it, get it finished, and I'll be right back. Well, here it is, one black acacia tri-point bowl. Isn't that pretty? Pretty grain. Boy, this turned nicely. I love that one point that has the lighter colored wood on it. Now can you tell that one of these points is lower than the other two? I think it's that one right there in front. I think that's the lower of the three. And that's because I started with a rectangle instead of a square. It's because I didn't pay any particular attention to detail on this. I just wanted to see if it was possible, and sure enough, it made its own 3 points. I didn't have to deal with it really. So if you've been wanting to make one and you were afraid you couldn't go through all the hassles that I did on my first one, and I'll link to that down in the description, and I posted a little link to it in the upper right hand corner there. It should still be there. You can click it and go to that other one and watch what I went through to get that one just right. A lot. And this one, nothing. And they pretty much look the same. I probably should have brought the other one out here. This one's a little bit smaller than that one. But it's pretty. That's such pretty wood. And there's the bottom all finished up. Thank you, Rod May, for sending this along for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up please. I'd sure appreciate it. If you'd share it around, that would be terrific. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos, about one a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome, and I read all of them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.